Welcome to As the Story Grows. I'm Brian Patton. Today we welcome Greyhaven vocalist Brent Mills to the podcast. Greyhaven just dropped their brand new EP, Stereo Grief, on Solid State Records. Brent talks about finding a place among a rigid metal scene and how that's changing, what has led to long stretches between the release of each album, signing with Solid State Records, the lyrical inspiration on Stereo Grief, and more. I got to see Greyhaven live last summer and they blew me away, and I love the new EP. If you haven't checked it out yet, make sure you give it a spin. Thanks so much for listening to As the Story Grows. If this is your first episode, thanks so much for checking out the podcast. If you haven't subscribed to the podcast feed yet, I would appreciate it. 2 episodes every week, and you never know when you're going to discover your next favorite band. You can find links to our Discord server, Patreon page, and mailing list in the show notes or at asthestorygrows.com. Come hang out and be a part of the community. Enjoy today's conversation with Brent Mills from Greyhaven. You grew up in Louisville?
Yes, born and raised.
Nice. What was growing up like?
I was, it's pretty cool. I lived about 25 minutes south of the city, kind of in the south end of Louisville. It was just like kind of suburbs. I moved around a decent amount, a little bit, but it was cool. It's fine. Yeah. There wasn't really much to do down on Dixie Highway where I was from, so I didn't really do a lot till college. I was like driving around going to like the city proper.
Nice. Were you big into like horse racing and shit?
No. I found shows in like 8th grade, so that pretty much took over.
Nice. Yeah. What got you into music?
My parents played music and were big fans of music. They were pretty young when they had me. They were like teenagers.
Okay.
So they were just like into, cool shit. So I was always around. Like they were teenagers in the 90s. So, I mean, they were just into all the best shit.
Yeah.
And my mom would take me to shows and stuff with her sometimes when like her boyfriends or whatever were playing in bands. Cause my parents weren't together, but like, I would be at band practices and stuff. It was just kind of always around. So I started like trying to learn how to play music and playing shows and stuff like that, like pretty early, like 14 or so, and going to shows and stuff. And it was just like, I just fell in love with it immediately.
That's rad. Yeah. That early exposure. I'm always kind of curious, like how my kids are going to take like my love of music and just like, we'll be listening to black metal or punk rock.
Yeah.
It's just like, are they going to hate and despise that or be like, oh no, it's cool. This is how we grew up.
I think it's awesome. Like as a kid to like have that stuff around. Like I always thought it was the coolest thing ever to like just be in the basement and like there's these guys playing music and everybody's having fun. And you kind of feel like as a kid, like, oh, I get to kind of hang out with the adults for a little bit. Like, it was just cool. It was just fun.
Yeah. You had that early exposure of like music as a different avenue than just like rock stars on television that you could like never hope to be. It was like tangible and in front of you. And you're like, oh, that's cool. I could do that.
Yeah. I remember whenever, like, cause I had seen it with my parents and everything. And I kind of just was around that, but then I was removed from it for a while. Cause like, it just wasn't as frequent of a thing for a little bit. But then when I started going to shows and I saw, my first like local band that was like cool. Like we listened to them and then went to see them. It wasn't the other way around kind of thing. And then hearing that they were from, in town, I was like, wait, you can do that? Like, I thought these guys were like a big deal. And they're just like a local band. That's when the light bulb kind of went off. Like, oh wow, you can just get good and do that.
Nice.
Getting good's hard.
Right,
That was the hard
right.
part.
What was the scene like there in Louisville? Did it have a pretty good local scene for underground music or punk,
Yeah,
metal,
I
hardcore,
mean,
whatever you were into?
yeah, honestly, whenever I started going to shows frequently, there was like the MySpace era, all those kind of bands were
Yeah,
coming through town, but it was tangible. Like you could see bands you liked on MySpace and be like, "Oh my God, this band's cool," and it was like a cool kind of
yeah,
emerging band. And then the next week or the next month, it would be at Bulldogs in town. Like I saw so many of those bands there, like Greeley Estates, Cimarosa, like I wrestled all those bands, like.
yeah,
And I was a teenager going to all that, and I just thought it was the coolest thing. But there were so many people at those shows. Like it was really like the local scene as far as people going to shows was huge. And then it seemed like once a week there was like a local showcase, and there was always so many cool bands. And those shows were also stacked. The bill was great. It was packed venue, like once or twice a month or whatever. And it was like I feel very privileged that Louisville kind of always had a like a decent sized scene. The shows were always cool. There were always people there, and there was always at least somewhere to play. Venues kind of come and go, but people
yeah,
follow whatever's open.
yeah. Yeah, it seems like if you grew up in proximity to a major city or semi-major city, you had a pretty good music scene that was
Yeah,
self-contained, if not, in part of the wider, larger scene. Yeah.
yeah, it was cool when I started to get a little older and was just like playing out a lot more and just seeing how many local bands there were and going to different shows and just watching friends play and stuff like that. Like by the time I got to high school and college, like hardcore was starting to kind of happen, and it was
Yeah.
like things were getting heavier and different, and it was like just watching all of that happen was really cool because like it never felt like it went away. Like there were definitely periods where different venues would disappear, and it felt like, oh, what's the next thing gonna happen? But almost always, like college kids will find a way.
Yeah. Yeah.
They will find a way. I played a lot of house shows for a while.
Yeah. Yeah. Were you into an instrument? Did you try to play anything, or were you always kind of vocally in the vocal mindset?
I wanted to play guitar. Like I got a guitar in like fifth grade, and I didn't touch it till like seventh, eighth grade or whatever. Really, honestly, but once I kind of got a hold of it, I was addicted to it. I that was like my thing. I wanted to be a guitar player, and I wanted to sing too. My dad told me whenever I was learning, like the first week I was learning, he was like, if you want to play and sing, you need to go ahead and try to learn that now. It's a lot harder to do when
Yeah.
you already know how to play. So that was my thing for the longest time. It didn't change till Greyhaven started because I had played guitar and sang in the band before, and then kind of dropped the guitar, picked up vocals, and the band was kind of the same. So that was new. Learning to do vocals for like 30 minutes as opposed to 30 seconds here and there was a
Right.
big shift.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you take vocal lessons or like anything like that?
Oh no, I
No.
really wish I would have like had some kind of some kind of understanding of what to do, because it's taken a long time of trial and error to kind
Yeah.
of figure out how best to do this. It's literally only been the last couple of years I feel like I kind of started to get a hang on it, a handle on it, because I just always want to be better and better
Yeah.
all the time. And like looking back at live shows here and there, I'm like, okay, well, that was upsetting. So how do I not have that happen again? And then just noticing what works and stuff too. But yeah, I never took any. I watched a lot of YouTube videos for a little while. I
Yeah.
tried to sort of understand it.
Yeah. Yeah. The information at least is out there and you can gain a knowledge base even if you don't have professional training, where it's like, but before YouTube, it was just like, I'm just going to scream and hope my
Yeah.
voice works tomorrow.
I always heard if it hurts, it doesn't work. And I was like,
Right.
okay, well, everything I'm doing hurts. So I figure out what's.
So don't do
What's
that
the right way?
anymore.
Yeah. So we figured that one out at least. But I know growing up, I used to do like at my dad's house, he had a PA system set up in their back room where they would have band practice with like his band, um, whatever band he was playing in when I was in high school. And I would go over there and they would leave for work. I'd be there by myself all day and I would sit and do like vocal covers with the PA like nonstop. I was a lot of Bless the Fall, a lot of trying to figure out how to.
That's awesome. Let's talk about Greyhaven. How did this band get started?
So like I kind of mentioned before, I was in a band prior, with the same guys and playing guitar and stuff. And we toured around and played a little bit. It was like our first kind of band that would have done any learning the ropes a little bit, like making shirts for the first time, getting a CD, like going on tour, all that stuff. And it got to a point where we were looking to do something else. So like I dropped the guitar and we've talked about dropping down to like a 4-piece type of band that was different. You know, we just wanted to do something a little more aggressive and a little more serious and just kind of shift a little bit. And it was really exciting, you know. So originally it was me and Johnny who were still in the band, and then we had a guitar player and a drummer before that wrote the first record, and we were really just so excited about that time period because it was just like, you know how it is when you're starting a new band. Even though it was with our best friends, still it was still the same group. It was like, oh, we get to have all these new fresh ideas and start a new page and start from zero and build this identity out, and it was really cool. But we did that for like a year, and then we lost our guitar player and drummer kind of in just a membership thing. We picked up Nick and Ethan like pretty early on. It's pretty much been like 8 or 9 years of just us.
Yeah.
So that's the band as that ever comes to mind when I think about it, because it's just been so long. Yeah. But it took a minute for us to kind of retool and figure out like what us four were going to do. That just took a couple years to find them, integrate that whole process.
Yeah.
But by like 2015, you know, we were back on the road, like writing songs, trying to tour. It took a couple years for Empty Black to come out post that, but it was a grind, you know. It was just like we kind of an eclectic band, I guess. Is a little like it leans to one direction that, you know, but it also does all this other weird stuff. So it was just like it's always just kind of been an uphill thing a little bit for us. But I don't know. It's cool. It's been basically just us four as friends, just really believing in this for a long time. And the fact that we can go on tour and people give a shit, it's like the reason we keep going, keep doing it.
Yeah. Heavy metal or like metalcore in general has been like in this weird place for so long where it's like everything was so like segmented into genres where it's like, this is metalcore, this is post-hardcore, whatever. And it's like, these are the boxes. And it seems like post-COVID, there's more of like exploration of sounds and more people being like, okay, it's cool if bands do whatever the fuck they want and not just this is what it is.
Absolutely. And like the reason I even brought that up is like because when we first started, it was so rigid. It was like there was a difference between like straight hardcore and beatdown and metalcore and and it was like if you tried to cross into that, it was like a no. And we were like, I don't even know what we're doing. Like we're just I don't even know. There's like grunge, there's like metalcore, there's like System of a Down. It's like it's just all over the place. And we don't want to change. Like we like that. And we really like to do whatever we want. And it's like, I think obviously doing that and having the freedom to do that from the beginning has been really cool and really fulfilling for us. But also like, as long as the band's been around, now we're about to hit like 10 years. It's cool to see like people have stuck with us and it's grown and there is more of that, you know, like bleeding into different stuff, experimenting different things. And it's like, I kind of love that. We've just stayed true to ourselves by just continuing to do it and do it better and better.
Yeah.
But it's like, finally, it seems like the scene is kind of like, whatever you want to do. Everybody's mixing everything right now. It's awesome.
Yeah. It's mellowed out. People are either older and like they let go of whatever was keeping them in those boxes, or they're just younger, and I feel like the younger fans just care less because
Yeah,
they
I think
grew
they
up
like
with the
that
internet
too.
and streaming, and they just get all of it
Yeah.
all the time, and so it's like whatever, they don't care.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, where'd the name come from?
It's a Lord of the Rings reference.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the Greyhavens in the books.
Nice.
Our bass player Johnny coined that one. He was like, we were in a pitching war for names, and he was put that one out and it won, and we were like, all right, cool.
Yeah, that's cool. How'd you guys get connected with Equal Vision?
It was a long process because we when we like I said, when we kind of reformed and we're doing things again and being active again, we got in touch with our manager Tom Williams through a friend of ours, and it was like that kind of started to go, and he was pitching demos and stuff and kind of pitching the band off the first record, which we recorded at home. It was kind of like not a super well polished record or anything. Yeah. And I don't know, we like pitched to so many labels and we would always hear things and then it would kind of pull back, and then probably like a year and a half into all of that or whatever, somewhere around 2017, Will Putney kind of caught wind of the whole thing and was like, tell Equal Vision I'll do the record and they'll sign them. And they were like, okay. So that's kind of how the whole relationship with everything kind of got started. And I can't thank Will enough for like taking a chance on us. I mean, really, it's kind of bizarre to hear like the first record we had and some like very loose demos and be like, let's see.
Yeah. It's always cool when someone believes in you and just puts it out there, and it's like it worked, right? Like,
especially someone on that caliber. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
Like that's looking back. Like I haven't really thought about it like that till right now. But like looking back on it, like that's such a crazy like gamble.
Yeah.
Thanks, Will.
Yeah. I imagine the time between releases was really affected by COVID and just having to, probably lock down when you're ready to record, right?
Dude, it was a curse that happened for both records. Like we put out that first record and then like the membership, the retooling, blah, blah, 4 years goes by, second record's out. And then the second record's out, and then we're like, hell yeah, let's get another one out. And then boom, 4 years later, because of COVID, we sat on that record for a minute too, because like it wouldn't have been that long between, but COVID messed everything up between pushing back recording so far. And then we recorded forever, and then we sat on it for like almost a year, I feel like, because we were waiting on vinyl to catch up. Yeah. And then the 6-month rollout, also, it's like by the time that thing dropped, you're like, Jesus, like these feel like old songs, and no one's heard them.
What then led you guys from Equal Vision to Solid State Records?
Well, our contract was up with the last record, and so we were kind of just looking at what our options were, and a conversation had happened between a guy, Adam, our friend Adam at Solid State, and our manager Tom, and it just kind of came up that we were about to be, open.
Yeah.
And he just jumped on it immediately. Was like really excited about it. Wanted to talk to us, kind of see our feelings on coming over there. And it was just awesome. Like the dude rocks, and they seem really hands-on and really interested. And through this whole process, we've been talking to them about a year. Okay. So through that whole process of figuring out things with the EP and just getting everything ready to go and all that stuff, like they've just been nothing but the best. It's been kind of fantastic so far. So really it was just came down to having somebody being very like as passionate about us as I feel like we are. You know, he was just came in and was like, let's fucking do this. I'm like, all right, cool. Love that attitude.
Yeah, that's awesome. Was there any hesitancy on your part as a band? Because like, I know Solid State over the last 5 years has gone under this tremendous shift, but like, I know a lot of bands still find there's baggage with being on Solid State with their history as a Christian label.
Mm-hmm. No, that really wasn't an issue for us, really, because like we briefly talked about that too with them, just because there was that like attachment. But I feel like they've kind of let up on that a little bit, but then also like they're just crushing it as a label right now. Like, they're just really like objectively. It seems like they really care about their bands. Their bands are doing really well, and like we're friends with Silent Planet, and they've signed with them twice. Yeah. So it's like that's a really good indicator of like things must be going, well over there. And also Silent Planet is blowing up, so it's like win. Yeah. And also
Devil Wears Prada on the label now. Fit for King, like their bands are. I mean, they've been huge since fucking Under Oath, right?
Yeah. So I mean, that was kind of just one of those things that it just made sense. And as far as the Christianity thing goes, it's like, I think if you listen to our records, it's pretty obvious, like that we're not a super Christian band. Yeah. But there's a lot of like spirituality kind of content in our lyrics and stuff a little bit that's non-denominational at all, or, and I feel like the conversation we had was like, as long as you're not going out there being like, fuck Jesus, like I think we're probably all right. Like, yeah. So I think that's kind of the vibe.
Yeah, it's
which we wouldn't want to do that anyway. It's just kind of rude.
Right. Yeah.
My whole thing is like, just do you.
Right. Yeah. We're not trying to be an asshole out there.
Yeah, I'm just talking about myself here, man.
Yeah, it's such an interesting like thing having come up through the Solid State scene and the Christian hardcore scene, and then like, seeing it get big with like Under Oath and like Norma Jean coming on the scene. Because like when I was in high school, people be like, "Fuck Solid State bands" because they're Christian, and then it was like the biggest bands in the world were on that label, and now like they dropped the Christian thing, and it's like, okay, now it's just cool bands on a cool label, and everybody's like, we're all good now.
Yeah. No, I like seeing it, because that label has always been like, always put out really cool records. And so seeing it kind of cycle back around to doing bullshit again, it's like, it's awesome. Yeah. Hope to be a part of that wave.
Yeah. Yeah. New EP is called Stereo Grief. Where'd the title come from?
So I was working on naming the songs. I was trying to figure out the track listing, like what the titles of everything would be. And I had this long list of stuff, and like the word stereo was in something, the word grief was in something else, and I kind of put the list away for the night, and the next morning I woke up and was looking at it again, and it was like the first thing that popped in my head. I just combined those two, and I was like, it just hit me like, oh, I really like that. Like, I really love the way that sounds. And then I started thinking about it, like conceptually, and it was like, this is perfect. This is literally perfect for everything that's going on in the EP. So just kind of a happenstance thing, really. But it makes perfect sense. It's like stereo grief. I think about like a stereoscopic image, and just like dealing with grief on like multiple panels, multiple planes, like dealing with all this heady stuff that's going on in the EP, like multiple times at once. It's it just seemed to fit. It's like a really just clicked.
Yeah. This press release says you took lyrical inspiration from and he built a crooked house. What drew you to that?
Yeah, so I wanted to. There's a little bit of a backstory, but like I wanted to kind of take this EP in kind of a spacey realm. I was listening to a lot of podcasts that are talking about the recent like alien stuff and how the thing that I pulled from that was they were talking about all this interdimensional kind of existence and that whole thing, and I thought that was pretty like wild to think about if that's true, you know.
Yeah.
And we had just gotten off tour around the 4th of July, and I had taken a bunch of mushrooms and watched Interstellar. So like the end of that movie in the Tesseract scene,
Yeah.
coupled with all the stuff I'd been listening to, and then like coupled with trying to research all this stuff for the EP, because I wanted to kind of take it there. I wanted to sort of build a story around all this type of woo-woo shit that I don't know anything about. And in that, I found that short story online somewhere. It was like an architect who had built a Tesseract house. It was like, so you walk into this house, and as you move room from room, it's like it shifts and does all the crazy stuff. It's like a 12-page short story. It's not very long, but when I read that in the studio, I was like, this is fucking awesome. I was like, this is the perfect setting to like put everything I'm trying to unpack in the EP in. Like literally house this scenario like in this house, in this house. This is the house that will work. Because like just talking about tesseracts and stuff like that loosely is kind of hard to do.
Right.
So when I found that story, I was like, this is literally perfect.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I don't know. I just kind of found it online, but it proved to be very, very helpful.
Nice. That's cool. Was there a decision to release an EP and not a full length this time around?
Yeah, we were looking to do a full length, honestly. Like we started writing pretty quickly after the last record. You know, we done some tours, kind of calmed down, and then went home and tried to start writing because we didn't want it to be another 4 years between releases. And we were all just kind of excited to just get working on new stuff. Like this Bright and Beautiful World, even though it came out so late, like they were kind of old to us. So we're ready to start working on new stuff. Yeah, and we wrote a bunch of like more atmospheric stuff at first, and then the mood just kind of shifted. We started writing some heavier stuff, but we had a bunch of different songs. We had like 10 or so instrumentals mowing around, demoing, and basically as the year kind of started to wind out, we were like, it took a minute to figure out where we were going to record it. We shopped around a couple of different places, and timelines kept getting moved, and this and that, and it just came up that Putney kind of opened up 2 weeks for us at the end of the year and was like, let's knock it out. And so obviously 2 weeks means not a full length. Yeah. So we're like, we could probably get 5 songs done in 2 weeks. That seems possible. So it's going to be hard, but possible. But when we figured that out, it was probably like a month or two before we went in. So we just spent that time like picking the 5 and then really honing in on them and just like making sure we weren't wasting like a second up there.
Nice. How Will has any time to record anybody is beyond
That's
me.
insane.
He was. I talked to him at the beginning of the year when the new End record came out, or I guess maybe that was last year. Jeez. But it was like in the year between times I had talked to him, he had put out like 4 records and was now Better Lovers. And I was like, how do you have more time than us? Like
it's insane. There were 3 bands actively going on while we were there. It was crazy. Like we just like popped in and we're like, hey, we're gonna do a quick EP real fast. Like, we'll be in and we'll be out. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. I don't know from the label side and what the label might want, but as a band, do you look at kind of the musical landscape and with streaming being the main source of music, like as EPs is the future and being like, we have this atmospheric stuff that we could do as a standalone versus the heavier stuff? Or do you always trying to just like, put the best foot forward? Do you like the album concept as a whole in general? Because that's the way people like us consume music.
Yeah. I'm definitely still attached to the album structure. I just think like, especially when you get like a well timed out, like get a good chunk of time, not too much, but like if you can take somebody's time for, a good half hour, 40 minutes or something with music and give something interesting that whole time. I think that task is so cool. Like, I really like to be immersive in music. Like I love to go on a long drive and have an album happening the whole time. I almost get bummed whenever it's like the drive's longer than the record.
Right. Or the record's longer than the drive.
Yeah, either one. It's like Damn it, didn't time that one right. But I think people do enjoy just consuming smaller bits sometimes, but honestly, the great thing is with streaming is like you could just put that on a playlist and do your thing with it if you want to. That's fine. But you can also listen to the whole record in one setting, like however. And honestly, I think it's cool to have both with like vinyl being an option because like you can really, the fact that that's been big again is awesome because like you can really have a tangible experience with the music now. But I don't know, I try not to get too worried about that because it's like we just like writing records or in a case like this when we have like it's good to do an EP. I like doing singles too. I just like recording music. Like whatever the piece is going to be, no matter how long or short it's going to be, like I trust that we can take that and be like, well, we're going to package it exactly what it needs to be. If it's a single, EP, double record, whatever, hopefully like we can round it out nicely no matter what. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. I have like, 24 albums on my phone right now.
Yeah.
And I'm ignoring because I'm just like, I can go sit on my couch upstairs and put on a record or a cassette or a CD and just like zone out for an hour, like, and just listen to that and not be like distracted by what else is on my phone.
Yeah. Sometimes choices are like frustrating too. Like our Wi-Fi here at the house has been out for like, I don't know, like over a week. So the other day I went to a thrift store and I found an old radio. Nice. So we've been listening to like the classic rock radio here at the house as background noise here and there.
That's fun.
And honestly, sometimes even that's just nice. Like I don't have to think about it. There's just like something going on that I don't hate. It's just kind of interesting to hear something. But music is like, people are going to listen to it however they're going to want to listen to it. It just depends on the person.
EP's out next Friday. What's this year look like? You guys going to spend the summer on the road?
That's the idea. Yeah. We got that tour right after the EP comes out with Better Lovers and Sea Space Cowboy and Foreign Hands. And that's going to be
tour.
It's going to be awesome because everybody's got new music out too. Like it's going to be fat. It's going to be very nice.
Yeah.
But then, we're working on something for after that. And, that first record is turning 10 this year. So we've got a couple things in the bank for that, which is, I think, something people will hopefully be excited to hear about. But then, I don't know. We'll see what the rest of the year ends up happening. Busy summer, though.
Thanks for listening to As the Story Grows. Our intro music was written and composed by Jeremy Hunt. The As the Story Grows theme is by Bob Nana. If you like what you hear, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and give us a rating and review. If you'd like to support the show financially, you can join us at patreon.com/asthestorygrows. Be a part of our community and join the ongoing conversation over on Discord. If you enjoy this episode, share it on social media with your friends. Much appreciated, and thanks for listening.